you know how to do it.
Yeah.
You can't look around.
Not with this particular tool, but it also talks about how you can have a microphone.
And we wanted to have music, but for whatever reason, we were unable to do that. So if you can go ahead and start that slideshow from the beginning, Brianna. Thank you. This is a picture of Suze's view from her front door.
The other one.
Must be a little bigger girl.
The ears.
Oh, wow.
A beauty shot. That's what she looked like close to the end.
Matrix. Just classic. Yeah.
Thank you, Brianna.
Yeah, that's about it.
I think so.
So what I would like to do now, it sounds like we've had a few more people join. And just again, want to give an opportunity for anyone who would like to share some of their favorite memories of Sooz to share now. Yeah, just go ahead and speak up by giving us your name. And then feel free to share.
Hi, let me see if this is working.
This is working.
I'm Jackie.
Hi, Jackie.
Great. I grew up with Sooz. We met in the 6th grade in Livonia. Hi, Dave.
You don't have.
Dave is only watching. He's not on audio, but
Oh, okay.
yeah, but he can hear.
Well, we had many an adventure together. Sue and I got in so much trouble together, it was unbelievable. I just kind of followed her and did whatever she said to do, and boy, was that trouble. We had prom together and lots of celebrations together since her birthday was only 2 days apart from mine. We even went to New York City together when we turned 18, and of course Sue found a way for us to buy beer and bring it back to the hotel. We got locked out of the room on the 50th floor of the Americana Hotel in our pajamas and curlers in our hair. That was quite an adventure, but I don't think Guy ever found out. That's kind of how things went with Sue. I will miss her. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you so much for sharing. Is there anyone else who has something that they would like to share?
Can you hear me?
We can. Go ahead and
Hi, this is Meredith from Brentwood, Tennessee. I've known Sooz for about 20 years. Went to Long Beach with her, and all I can say is she was always there for me. She was there for my mother through thick and thin. We had so much fun together. I could tell her anything, and she always loved me unconditionally. And I will miss her so, so much.
Thank you so much for sharing. Anyone else?
This is Chris Ferguson.
Hello, Chris.
My sister and I met Aunt Sooz. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Chris.
In 2004, my sister and I lost an uncle, and his online obituary was signed by Sooz. And she contacted my sister and said, "How did you know Ronnie?" And we said, "That was our uncle." And she says, "Well, he's my brother, and you have an auntie." So we became friends by phone. And in 2006, my sister and I flew to Salt Lake City to get her settled into her new house. I think it was 2006. So the first time we met her, she was bald as a pool ball. She was just finishing up her chemo and radiation therapy. So she has brought a lot of joy to my world. And she's always been a good friend to talk to when times were tough. I've been through some rough years the last few years. So we've been there for each other.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
She
you so
left
much.
too soon.
Yeah, she did leave too soon. Okay, anyone else care to share? Let me go ahead and share how I know Sooz. Some of you may be wondering. In 2008, my husband had entered a rehab center for alcoholism. And first of all, let me just preface by saying that I have permission from him to share our family's story. And on April 1st, 2008, I knew that in addition to the struggle that my husband was having, that I needed to surrender to a power greater than myself that could only help me and my family do what we could not do for ourselves. And I often in the rooms hear people say that they were a raging alcoholic, and I will say that I was a raging codependent. And I'll never forget, I attended my first Al-Anon meeting at a church in Bountiful, Utah. And when the meeting finished, I walked out into the little courtyard, and there were some tables there, and I just sat down to kind of take it all in. It was new to me and new for me. And this, not so very long after I had sat down, this beautiful woman with long silver hair came out and sat down at the table with me. And we began to speak, and we became fast friends. And every week thereafter, 3 or 4 times a week, we would either go to Marie Callender's and have a bowl of soup, or she would come up to my home and we would pop popcorn and watch movies, or we would find ourselves in the rooms, especially when there were open or full fellowship, all fellowship meetings. And then in August of 2008, specifically on August 1st, 2008, my son, whom my husband and I had adopted 6 years prior, was tragically killed. And as you can imagine, it kind of put a little bump in our recovery road, both for my husband and also for the rest of our family, who by this time were fully entrenched in trying to learn as quickly as we could and absorb into our DNA as quickly as we could the principles of recovery. Sooz, during this time, of course, became even a brighter light for our family. And about a year later, in October of 2009, I had to share the news with Sooz that our family was going to be moving to Brooklyn, New York. And I remember the how hard that was for me to leave such an incredible friend. And I do remember her being a little bit angry at me, but we got through it and we spoke every day for a while, and then those everyday conversations turned into, you know, maybe every third or fourth day, and then as time went on, we've been now here a little over 5 years, and it turned into a weekly conversation. But whenever we would go back to Utah, because I still have children who live there, Sooz and I would spend, you know, a significant amount of time together. And in fact, I had just spent a decent amount of time with her 2 weeks prior because my husband, his mother, who had lived with us for the last 2.5 years, and Sooz was such a great support, you know, through that process for me as well, and helping me to remember to be kind and gentle and to practice the principle of turning it over to our higher power in every aspect of that journey as well. And so 2 weeks ago, while we were in Utah for my mother-in-law's funeral, Sooz was going to attend the memorial service with us, and she called me on Friday evening and said that she wasn't feeling well, and said that she needed to take a pass. And when she described some of her symptoms, I became quite concerned and said that absolutely she should not attend the memorial service, but in fact she should find herself at the hospital. So I checked in with her that evening. This would have been the 27th of October, and she said she had slept until 4 o'clock but was feeling a little better and decided that she wasn't going to go to the hospital, but that she promised first thing Monday morning she would make an appointment. So the next Sunday evening on the 28th, we went to a movie together, and in true Sooz fashion, we cut it way too close, and I almost missed my flight back to New York, but it was fun to spend that little bit of time with her and just share that time together. And then it was approximately 10 days later when she found herself at the doctor's, and there was enough concern that many tests were ordered, and I don't think we've completely figured out all the sequence of events, but we do know that at some point on Thursday, the 6th of November, she sat down on her love seat in her living room and fell asleep and didn't wake up, and she woke up on the other side. So what I'm most grateful for that Sooz taught me, and I think taught many of us, and especially me, because I am a raging Al-Anon, and the world is a much happier place when I continue to find myself immersed in the principles of recovery, and the more that I practice these principles in all of my affairs. But what Sooz taught me was recovery from the other side of the table. And at times when I would become really frustrated with my husband and my son before he passed, Sooz would give me a perspective of what sitting on the other side of the table looked like. And it was also really sweet because as time went on and I had some incredible sponsors in my recovery, Sharon Forbes being one of them, then I was able to share my experience and strength and help from the other side of the table. So it really became a precious and a sweet process. The other gift that Sooz gave to me specifically is that I'm a strategic business advisor, and I help executives lead more authentic and fulfilled lives, both physically, financially, emotionally, spiritually, and socially. And about 2 years ago, I felt this desire to bring a more spiritual aspect into the work that I do. And I was trying to figure out a way to do that, and I don't remember exactly where I was, but I remember the thought coming to my mind. One of the first principles that Sooz taught me, I would go to her home and we would sit and read the big book together, and then she would instruct me on literally almost line by line, but certainly paragraph by paragraph, her understanding of that. And over the last 5.5 years, I guess 6 years now, coming up on 7, that we've known each other, her line that meant the most to me was, what is the next indicated step? And to take the next indicated step. And so a couple of years ago, as I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about how I wanted to bring more spiritual practice into the work that I was doing with executives, and helping them to first find inner peace and then to make their businesses align with that. So rather than opening a business or starting into a business because they think it's a good idea, to really stop and ask 2 questions first. And that is, what do you want and why do you want it? To really determine if that's really your life's purpose and your life's calling. So over the last 11 years since I've been engaged in this work, I've helped over 200 entrepreneurs either launch new businesses or up-level their game, and done a lot of extensive work with teams to help them have more collaborative efforts. And again, so a couple of years ago, as I was thinking about this, Sue's words to me kept coming to my mind. What's the next indicated step? And so I created a whole series around this concept called Light Moves. And so now when I ask my executives, rather than saying, what's the next thing you can do, what we say is, what's your next light move? Now, the funny thing about this is that I shared this with Sooz, and I was so excited and inspired. So then as I would go on my Facebook page, we would post different inspirational things, and one would say, lead lightly, or the next one might say, what's your next light move? And I remember getting a Facebook message from Sooz one day saying, honey, I love you, but I don't understand what this light move stuff is all about. So I was able to share that with her again. And so I'm so grateful for the incredible impact that she had on my life and the life of my family. And my children call her Auntie Sooz, as I suppose many on this call have had the same experience. So I'm so grateful for her love, her light, and for the inspiration and the legacy that she will leave and has left, not just within the life of my family and me, but for here and for as long as I'm doing the work I'm doing, Sooz will be with me as I help executives find and make their next light move. So is there anyone else who has anything that they would like to share? Feel free to speak up. Okay. If not, I'm going to ask my husband, Mark, to share a brief segment with us about his experience with Sooz, and then also a message that his mother left with him just before she, or I guess it was actually after she passed, that I think would be, Sooz would love to have him share. I think he was also one of those people who she loved, and she would, often call him her brother, but there were many times when she was just really angry with him too for whatever, experiences in life as he was experiencing it. So, Mark, if you're there, would you go ahead and share?
Sure. Can you hear me?
You can. I'm going to mute because you're in the other room, so I'm going to put my microphone while you speak. So go ahead.
So first, thanks, Lorindy, for organizing this and for everyone to be on the call. It's really nice to be able to have this. So one of the reasons that Sooz would get so frustrated with me is because very often she would have very clear ideas as to what I should be doing or should not be doing. And she was very much like a sister, and she would, she was really good at taking my inventory, really good at it. which is fine. And but it was a good reminder, and it helped me. So the topic that Lorindy wanted me to share briefly on actually does tie in beautifully to what you have all been talking about. You know, Sooz left her mark like no one else could. And that was because she lived her life the way she wanted to live it. I mean, period. She did. From the fact that she had trouble lifting her arms up because she had so many bracelets and jewelry on, figuratively, to her butterfly tattoos, to whatever. She did it the way she wanted to do it. And my mom passed away not too long ago. And we were very, very close. And my mother, actually, before she passed away, she said, you know, Mark, I will always be with you, and I will always help you. And I didn't really know what that meant, but immediately after her passing, I had actually a big blessing of having the house mostly to myself because Lorindy and the kids were gone. And it enabled me to really kind of discover what that meant for me. And that was that my mom actually, she kept her promise, and she actually did, she would talk with me, and I could hear it as clear as a bell, as clear as you can hear this now. And one of the things that she had wanted me to express to her grandchildren at her funeral was, Mark, you can always renegotiate your life. You can always renegotiate whatever it is that you want to do. If there's something, if you don't like something about your life, you can change it. And that really reminded me about Sooz quite a bit. And that if she didn't like a situation, if she didn't like what was going on, she just changed it. And I thought that was a very, very powerful message that my mom had delivered to me, that all of us can renegotiate our life. We can be whoever we want to be with who we want to be with. And if it's not working or no longer working, we can work on that relationship or change the relationship. And Sooz embodied all of that to me. So thank you.
Thanks, Mark. So we're going to do two more things. I'm going to read from a book called Daily Reflections. It's a book of reflections by AA members for AA members. And I thought it would be appropriate, given Sooz's dedication and, you know, all of our dedication to recovery. We have a dear friend who runs a recovery community down in Southern California. It's a faith community for the unchurched, he calls it. And the way he says is that we're all recovering from something. And I will be forever and eternally grateful that my higher power saw fit for me to find my way into the rooms and for me to begin this incredible work. And it's a journey that I fully embrace and hang on to every day. So in Daily Reflections, November 16th, it says, a daily reprieve. What we really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual condition. Maintaining my spiritual condition is like working out every day, planning for the marathon, swimming laps, jogging. It's staying in good shape spiritually, and that requires prayer and meditation. The single most important way for me to improve my conscious contact with the higher power is to pray and meditate. I am as powerless over alcohol as I am to turn back the waves of the sea. No human force had the power to overcome my alcoholism. Now I am able to breathe the air of joy, happiness, and wisdom. I have the power to love and react to events around me with the eyes of a faith in things that are not readily apparent. My daily reprieve means that, no matter how difficult or painful things appear today, I can draw on the power of the program to stay liberated from my cunning, baffling, and powerful illness. The thing that's so beautiful about that is I'll never forget Sooz sitting in meetings and her saying, she would get really tired when she would hear people talk about the spiritual part of this program. And she would often tell me, Lorindy, this program is a spiritual program. And when we surrender to this concept, we will be able to soar higher than we ever imagined as we surrender to our higher power and to allow him to do for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Also want to mention that Sooz's daughter, Erica, I spoke with her this morning, and she felt really badly that she could not participate today. It is her son, Sean's, birthday today, and then her daughter was singing at church, and so she felt conflicted and guilty, and I just shared with her that Sooz wants us to live our lives forward, and that she wants us to carry this message and to, with a strong heart and in a very cellular level in our DNA, and that means that we miss her for sure in the physical presence, but she is with us. I'm not sure why I'm feeling compelled to share this, but had dinner with a dear friend who is Jewish, and he just buried his father-in-law about 10 days ago, and he lost his twin several years ago now to the disease of addiction. And he shared with me that in the Jewish tradition used to be that whenever someone would pass, a tear would be placed in the family member or friend's coat. And then that tear would remain for a year, just as it was, as a reminder of the hole that was left in the fabric of their lives. After a year's time, the hole would be loosely sewn with a thread, but not completely. It wasn't to be sewn completely shut. It was just to be sewn loosely. And he said, so as you can imagine, over time, with the loss of so many, there would be holes in the coat, in the fabric. And he shared that really when it comes to losing those that we love and who have made such an impact in the fabric of our lives, that it's not that we ever fill that hole or that we ever cover it up or that we ever get over it. But in fact, we just carry the cloak forward, and the fabric is scarred to a certain extent. And there is a hole that has some healing, but will not be fully healed until we can meet the people that we love again on the other side and embrace them in a different way. So it's my hope and my prayer that for all of us, that wherever we experience Sooz the most, maybe some of us it was in our head, some of us in our heart, some of us in our solar plexus, that we will carry that forward, and that love and that strength that she shared with each of us will be and remain a fabric and the fabric of our lives. So I'm going to sing Amazing Grace. I sang this at Sooz's funeral, and hopefully it won't sound too crazy through this electronic experience. I had picked out a couple of videos that we weren't able to share just because we couldn't figure out technologically how to do it without it sounding too irritating. So I'm going to sing Amazing Grace. If sometime today you have the opportunity to log on to YouTube, and there's a version of How Great Thou Art by Vince Gill and Carrie Underwood, and my husband and I performed that also at Sooz's memorial service on Wednesday, and maybe you could listen to that and think of Sooz. But I'm going to go ahead and just sing 2 verses of Amazing Grace, and then when I'm finished, we will say the Serenity Prayer together. Just want to give one more moment if there's anyone who would like to share something. I'll be silent for about 5 seconds in case someone wants to jump in and share a memory of Sooz before we finish. Okay. Amazing Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. When we've been met 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've no less days to sing God's praise than when we first begun. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I am found. Was blind, but now I see. So welcome anyone who would like to say the Serenity Prayer with me. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Love and light